Hi there, Luke here with another video. For those of you unfamiliar with our channel, my husband Tyler and I make travel videos where we document our experiences since moving from North America to the UK. If you watched our last video, you'll know that we have been featuring a trip that we did to the country of Ukraine in the autumn of 2021, which was before the events that have occurred in Ukraine shortly thereafter. So this is kind of a glimpse into what our travel experience was like shortly before the invasion of Ukraine and some of the beautiful things that we saw while we visited there. So I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that this inspires you to see all of the beauty that Ukraine has to offer outside of these horrible circumstances that it's in. And hopefully, once things resolve, it will inspire you to visit this beautiful, friendly country. If you enjoy these videos, please be sure to give a comment, like, subscribe, and if so inclined, a tip with the super thanks button, as that is super helpful as always. If you watched our last video, you'll know that we had just visited the city of Odesa after visiting Moldova and Transnistria. And at this point in our trip, we took a train from Odesa all the way up to Kyiv, which was really just a connection point because we saved most of Kyiv for the end of the trip. And then from Kyiv at this point, we took another train to Lviv. To get from Odesa to Kyiv, it was about a 7-hour train ride, and then we spent the night in Kyiv, and then we took another 7-hour train from Kyiv to Lviv. And if you don't know much about Ukraine, Lviv is the main western city in Ukraine and is one of the highlight cities to visit in the country. So definitely worthwhile if you do visit Ukraine. Lviv is the largest city in western Ukraine and the 6th largest city in all of Ukraine. It is one of the main cultural centers of Ukraine for sure. And for that reason, I highly recommend visiting it if you get the chance. It has an interesting history and culture where it has traces of Polish and Austro-Hungarian heritage, which is pretty evident in its architecture. And it blends Central and Eastern European styles with those of Italy and Germany as well. The historical heart of the city, with its cobblestone streets and architectural assortment of Renaissance, Baroque, Neoclassical, and Art Nouveau styles, survived Soviet and German occupations during World War II largely unscathed, fortunately. And for this reason, the historic city center is on the UNESCO World Heritage List, because it really has preserved a lot of its distinctive architecture and character. We started off our day in Lviv visiting the House of Scientists, which is an opulent 19th century neo-Baroque building and former aristocratic casino. Lviv's House of Scientists is considered to be one of the most stunning buildings in the whole city. The building was designed and built by the famous Austrian company Fellner and Helmer in the year 1898. Each of the 7 halls of the house impresses visitors with its grandeur and beauty. Our personal favorite one being the salon, with its stunning wooden stairwell. The whole purpose of a House of Scientists at the time was as an independent form of uniting workers from scientific institutions and higher schools established in various cities, initially during the Soviet era. After we were finished walking around the House of Scientists, we decided to go for a free walking tour of Lviv, which was hosted by a local Lviv resident. It was nice having this experience because we got to see some of the highlights of the city and learn some of the unique history from someone who was well informed and had personal experience there. So definitely highly recommend if you're visiting to do a tour like this. Lviv is just a really nice city to walk around in. It has nice local parks and beautiful streets. It also has colorful buildings surrounding the main town center and tons of cute restaurants and cafes. We even passed by the monument of Lviv tinsmith Adam Bratkowski, who together with Ignacy Łukasiewicz invented the world's first kerosene lamp. Another interesting part of the tour included a stop at the Armenian Cathedral of Lviv. It was built as a small Armenian church in the years 1363 to 1370, and this made it the oldest Armenian church in all of Ukraine. The Boym Chapel is a monument of religious architecture in Cathedral Square, and it was constructed from 1609 to 1615. It is a part of Lviv's Old Town, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. After we finished our walking tour, we decided to go for one of the best panoramic views of the city, and that was by climbing to the top of Lviv's City Council. Any visit to Lviv wouldn't be complete without sampling some of its famous chocolate. For those of you who don't know, Lviv is known across Ukraine as well as the world for making some really delicious chocolate. And in order to have a taste of this, we visited a famous chocolate store called Lviv Homemade Chocolate. And we had both individual chocolates as well as a really delicious hot chocolate, which was a great way to warm up on this autumn day in Lviv. We finished off the day with a delicious dinner at a restaurant called Trapezna Idei, meaning monk's eating room. It's really cool because it's located in the cellar of a former monastery, and it has really affordable and really delicious local dishes. After our time in the city of Lviv itself, we decided that we wanted to explore some of the countryside of Western Ukraine, and for this purpose, we decided to rent a car. This was a great way to get to enjoy some of the autumn colors and see some of the interesting monasteries, historical sites, cultural sites that are located outside of the major city, and it was just kind of a nice way to see kind of what smaller town life is like in Ukraine. To start off, we decided to visit the famous Pochaiv Lavra, also known the Pochaiv Monastery. This is a large and important monastic complex in Western Ukraine. The monastery belongs to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and for centuries it has been the foremost spiritual and ideological center of various Orthodox and Eastern Catholic denominations in Western Ukraine. It had some of the most intricately decorated interiors we have seen to date. Later that same day, we visited the unique Pidhirtsi Castle, which is a residential castle fortress originally built between the years 1635 and 1640. It's located in the village of Pidhirtsi, and unfortunately, since its construction, it has fallen into disrepair. In February 1956, the castle almost completely burned down, including valuable paintings. The fire lasted for 3 weeks, leaving only walls and $12 million in damages. In 1997, it was purchased by the Lviv Gallery of Painting, which turned it into a museum. It is kind of interesting to walk around this grandiose, large estate, but that is in a bit of disrepair. It almost kind of looks like an abandoned castle. So it's kind of eerie, interesting, and cool to see, especially with some of the artwork that's inside, as well as walking around some of the external grounds. There are some nice wooded walks around the castle gardens that we enjoyed doing ourselves as well. Another stop worth mentioning for those who like visiting churches is the nearby Roman Catholic Church of St. Joseph. The following day, we visited one of the many UNESCO-recognized wooden churches in Ukraine, and the one that we visited is called St. George's Church. St. George's Church is located in Drohobych and is one of the oldest and best preserved timber churches of Galicia, which for those of you who don't know, which we didn't know before looking into it, Galicia is a historical and geographic region spanning what is now southeastern Poland and western Ukraine, and is not to be confused with Galicia in Spain. Even though they have the exact same name, they are different regions, different people, and different histories. If you do want to know more about the Galicia in Spain though, we do have a video on that as well, so check that out. So back to St. George's Church. The church is a monument of Galician wooden architecture of the late 15th to early 16th centuries, and is one of the best preserved and one of the best monuments of Ukrainian sacral architecture. It is one of the 16 churches that comprise a World Heritage Site named the Wooden Cerkvas of the Carpathian region in Poland and Ukraine. After we had returned the rental car and left Lviv, we proceeded to travel by train around some of the more rural parts of Western Ukraine. In order to reach our first destination, Yaremche, we took a train from Lviv, and that took about 4.5 hours. Yaremche is located south of Lviv and is part of the Carpathian mountain region of Ukraine, and is a great place to go if you want to see some of the autumn colors that Ukraine has to offer. On our first day in Yaremche, we proceeded to just walk around the town, enjoying the small town feel and local buildings. We visited the Nativity of St. John the Baptist, which is a Greek Catholic church built in the year 1995. Constructed with its signature red and white brick and gray stone and 5 domes, it symbolizes Jesus Christ and the 4 evangelists. Afterwards, we continued our exploration of Yaremche, and we decided to do a nice river walk. Walking along the river is nice because there are some interesting rock formations, as well as some scenic views, including one of what is called Elephant Rock. The next day, we fortunately had some nice weather, so we decided to do a nice hike. We walked to the top of what is called Makovitsia Mountain. The trail takes about 4 hours round trip and offers beautiful panoramic views of the surrounding mountains, which are stunning, especially in the autumn. The Mount Makovitsia trail begins from Yaremche as you head south along the railroads across the Prut River Bridge. At the beginning of the designated trail, you'll find a ticket booth where you have to pay about 30 hryvnia, which is the Ukrainian currency, for the park entrance fee. After you've entered the park, you simply follow the well-marked trail up the mountain and enjoy the views along the way. After our time in Yaremche, we headed to another town that we enjoyed called Chernivtsi. In order to get to Chernivtsi, we took a bus from Yaremche to Ivano-Frankivsk, and from there we took another bus to Chernivtsi. The city of Chernivtsi is often considered one of Ukraine's most important architectural, educational, and cultural sites. It was formerly the capital of the historic region of Bukovina, which is now divided between Romania and Ukraine. Chernivtsi also houses the beautiful Chernivtsi University, which is a UNESCO-recognized site. The 1875 founded Chernivtsi National University features Romanesque and Byzantine architecture and the Chernivtsi University Botanical Garden. At the heart of the old town is the central square with the blue neoclassical city hall. The following day, we left Chernivtsi by bus and we headed to another town called Kamianets-Podilskyi. Once we dropped off our bags, we proceeded to explore the city right away. The first part of the city's dual name originates from Kamień, which means stone in Old Slavic. The second part of its name relates to the historic region of Podylia, of which Kamianets-Podilskyi is considered to be the historic capital. During the Ukrainian-Soviet War, the city officially served as the temporary capital of the Ukrainian People's Republic from 1919 to 1920. To start off our time in Kamianets-Podilskyi, we enjoyed a nice leisurely walk around the city, especially along the pretty trails through City Park and the views of Novoplanivsky Bridge. The primary highlight of this city, though, which most people come to see this particular site, is the castle that's here. The Kamianets-Podilskyi Castle was built in the 1300s with impressive views of the surrounding countryside and old town of the city. Alright everyone, that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope that it has inspired you to visit this part of Ukraine once the situation settles there, because there is so much to see in this part of Ukraine and we really enjoyed it, particularly in the autumn with the beautiful colors. If you enjoyed this video, please do give a comment, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next and final video on Ukraine, which is visiting Kyiv as well as Chernobyl. So do not miss that. See you at the next one. Bye!